So InnSaei is combined of two words. It's in and sæi. In means insight or into, and sæi means to see or evokes the sea. And so the threefold meaning of the concept InnSæi is the sea within, and that refers to the ever-flowing unconscious mind. The sea within cannot be put into boxes or silos, because then it ceases to flow.
What I see that you've been practicing for 20 plus years is relying on the intuition and learning how to do that. And so what is the process like for somebody to understand, well, what is their intuition, to learn to trust it, and, habits and methods for being able to be aware of that intuition and rely on it?
Yeah, that's a very important question, and it's a big one. And maybe the key to opening up the answer to this would be to go into the Icelandic word and the way that we have developed it in the work that we did in the film, in the work that we did in the university program I designed and directed, but also in my book now. And that is because the word is actually still teaching me. So
so you're going with the Icelandic word, and I'd love for you to kind of repeat it and go deep into, what is the Icelandic word and how it keeps teaching you and what it means.
Because I think that helps us also answer the question, like, how do we then practice it? Okay, so the Icelandic word for intuition is InnSæi. If you look it up in the dictionary, you will get a similar definition like you do in other dictionaries. But the way that it's come through my work and our work is to open it up like a sculpture. So InnSæi is combined of two words. It's in and sæi. In means insight or into, and sæi means to see or evokes the sea. And so the threefold meaning of the concept InnSæi is the sea within, and that refers to the ever-flowing unconscious mind. The sea within cannot be put into boxes or silos, because then it ceases to flow. This is where we store most of our unconsciousness. This is where we are making connections and sense-making at a speed that is impossible for our very focused conscious mind to follow. So it's much faster than the focused conscious mind. A lot happens in there that we could never grasp, and it's okay, But in the modern world that we live in today, where our attention has become a very valuable product in $1 billion market and is constantly being hijacked by market forces and stress and speed around us, it's very important to tune into the sea within. And we do this through InnSæi, intuition. So the second meaning of InnSæi is to see within. Now this refers to self-awareness, metacognition, so our ability to know ourselves well enough to be able to put ourselves into other people's shoes, bring out the best in us, but also to be able to discern good intuition from biases, fears, and wishful thinking. So there are a few things that disrupt or block our intuition. And I find it helpful to mention them just to help us put our heads around it. And this also has to do with how do we harness it and hone it? Because intuition is like a muscle, we need to attend to it, pay attention to it. It will never scream and shout. But we also have to learn when to trust it and when not. So just very few simple examples. When we're under a lot of pressure, financial, work, personal, under a lot of stress, we feel anxious, or we are super in love, like we are totally falling in love, this is not the right time to consult your intuition. So that's why we say, why don't you sleep on it? Or I'll better sleep on it, just to let it sink in. A way to discern intuition from biases and fears and prejudice takes practice. And we can go into that if you want a little bit later. Which takes me to the third definition of InnSæi, which is to see from the inside out. And this is the part of of the concept, which is about how do you then, knowing what the sea within is, understanding how to see inside it and harness it, how do you practice it as you navigate through the ocean of life? And you can imagine that we talk a lot about the world today being turbulent, uncertain, complex. And because I tend to refer to the sea, as you've noticed. So the sea is actually the oldest metaphor for consciousness. I didn't know this until I started to delve into the research. But imagine that because of the world is so uncertain, we don't know what the world will look like in 5 years from now. Nobody knows that. So imagine being out on the sea. There is no land in sight. Rule number 1 is keep your head up, otherwise you drown. And rule number 1 is to decide in which direction to go. And rule number 1 is to decide in which direction to go. And that's a much harder one. We have so many possibilities of the choices we make. There's also lots of great opportunities that we need to decide upon which ones to follow and which not.